What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I have an in-depth comparison between Roto Grip's all-new Idol Helios and the Storm Phaze 2. They're both symmetrical solids, and we'll get into that tech a little bit later. But if you guys like this video and you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if you like this Space Kitties jersey or any jersey in any of my videos, you can go to coolwig.com, use my promo code MOTIVELU10, and that'll get you 10% off your entire order. And then if you like what you're seeing out of this Idol Helios, if you're liking what you're seeing out of this Phaze 2, and you're gonna order any of these balls based on my recommendation or what you're seeing on the lanes, there's gonna be a link down in the description where you can order either of these balls or anything bowling related. It really helps my channel. It's super appreciated. Bowlers Mart is a direct sponsor of this channel, so supporting them directly supports me if you go through the link. Okay, so let's get into the tech behind these balls. The Idol Helios features the Icon core, which in 15 pounds has an RG of 2.49 and a differential of 0.52, which is going to be very similar to that Phaze 2. And then the cover on this ball is the Extreme Tracks solid reactive cover that comes out of box at a 2000 grit, but I have it to a 3000 finish so that I can match the Phaze 2, so we can make them as similar as possible. Then we get into the Phaze 2, and the core in this one is the Velocity core that has an RG of 2.48, which is just one tick lower than this one, and a max differential of 0.51, which is, again, one tick lower than the Idol Helios. Then the cover is a TX16 solid reactive cover that comes out of box at a 3000 grit finish. So I have the same finish on both of these balls, very similar cores, and then the layout on both of these balls is also the same, being that it's 50 by 4.5 by 30. And again, I always do that so that the layouts can be the same on every symmetrical ball, so you can go back and look at any comparison you want to, because they're all laid out exactly the same. So I've thrown both of these balls a lot. I'll leave a link in the description to the Idol Helios review. But what I'm seeing is that I think that the Idol Helios is going to be a little bit earlier, and then the Phaze 2 is going to shape, I think, a lot more than the Helios will. So I'm going to take you guys out on the lanes now so we can get this comparison going. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys have an Idol Helios or have pre-ordered the Idol Helios, and if you have a Phaze 2, and if you don't have a Phaze 2, you really should. And then let me know what you're thinking about these balls. All right, we'll start with the Helios because it's the newer ball. Oh. That's impressive. All right, let me make an effort to not send it right. Keep it a little bit more in front of me here. So I just got done with my first 5 shots throwing the Idol Helios, and what really stood out to me was just how early the Idol is, but it still wanted to pop a little bit down lane. And then that one shot where I really got it right, it still recovered. Typically balls that are like supposed to be like these really strong solids like this, when you miss right into the friction, they tend to roll out and bail. Now the Phaze 2 definitely won't roll out because of the nature of the cover. So now we're gonna get into the Phaze 2 from the same spot where I was just striking at with this Helios, the Idol Helios, to see, and then I'll make moves accordingly depending on what I need to do. But what I'm thinking is that this is gonna be cleaner and create more shape than this Idol Helios. So let's see. So that came off it really hard and I missed right. So let's get one up the lane like the Idol. Wow. So I'm gonna go 2 and 1 left, try to not 9-pin here. Good move. Wow. Another 1 left off that shot. So the Idol Helios and Phaze 2 are both symmetrical solids that are both poured in Brigham City, Utah. And that's honestly where the similarities end. I had the Phase 2 about 2 or 3 boards stronger than the Idol Helios, and I think stronger might be the wrong word. I just think that this one shaped so much more that I had to get a little bit further left. But because of that, I'm really thinking, and I really believe that this is going to be a phenomenal 1-2 punch if you're bowling on enough oil, where I can stay a little bit straighter with this Helios, and then as I have to get left and create a little bit more shape, I'm thinking it's going to be a pretty seamless transition right into this Phase 2, because this Phase 2 did create quite a bit more shape than this Helios. So now I'm going to get back into this Idol, and I'm going to move like maybe 2 or 3 left of where I was with the Phase 2. So I think ultimately it's going to be like 6 or 7 left from where I left off with the Idol. Just to see, I mean, I think as we get further left, the Phase 2 is going to look better. But from a little bit straighter, I definitely think that this Idol is going to look better. So let's get back on the lanes. Yeah, see, I think the Phase 2 strikes from there. It's going to be one right here. Good shot. Yep. That's a good one. Oh, can opener. So I would say that the Idol still looks really good. I just can't create those larger angles like I can with like maybe the Phase 2. But once I moved my feet one right and my eyes one left, which I forgot to tell you guys, but it was one left, one right with my feet, one left with my eyes, keep the ball a little bit more in front of me. The cover on this ball is definitely strong enough to handle that oil. And the ball still came around the corner and splitting the 8-9, 4 straight shots. So that impressed the you-know-what out of me. So I'm gonna go to the Phase 2, and again, for the first shot, I'll start where I was with this Idol Helios. And I am thinking this is gonna be, I'm telling you guys, a phenomenal little 1-2 punch. And good shot. I'm gonna go 1 and 0 left here. I think that's it. Yep. All right, so the biggest thing that I just took from that last group of shots is that the cover strength of the Phase 2 is really starting to show itself. The cover is the TX16, and I'm not really sure what the TX stands for, but the 16 stands for like the year that it was created. So the cover stock, this ball was poured in 2021, this year. It's a brand new Phase 2. But the technology was from 2016. So it really goes to show you just how much stronger the cover is compared to this Idol Helios, because the cover on this is way stronger than the cover on the Phase 2. When we were a little bit straighter, they kind of looked like they were a little bit different because we were basically right on top of the friction. But as we moved left, that difference went from like 5 or 6 boards to like 1. So I imagine that as we get further left, I think those differences are going to become even smaller, potentially. But because of that, I still think that it'll make a really good 1-2 punch because the Phase 2 has a weaker cover, similar core numbers. So if you're in a part of the lane where you're liking what you're seeing out of the Idol Helios, but you need to get into something that's maybe a little bit cleaner, maybe clear the fronts a little bit more, then you're going to get into something like the Phase 2, which is... Oh, split that 8-9. See, that's so good. I missed right and it still does that. Yeah, so the Phase 2 is definitely going to have some pretty stiff competition from that far left because it looked pretty good. And that last shot I 9-pinned, which I never thought was possible with this ball from that far left. First time I 9-pinned with this ball, so it's actually pretty impressive that I can be that far left, get it that far right with a cover this strong, and it still wants to respond. Because typically, when you get balls that are this strong, like the covers are this strong, they typically don't shape like that. Like balls like the Reality. It's one of my favorite solids. I mean, maybe one of the all-time greats. But even then, on a house shot, when I get left like that, it doesn't shape nearly as much as this Helios did. I know we're comparing apples to oranges, but, you know, whatever. Same part of the lane. Gonna stay in the same part of the lane because I really like the way this looks from here. Oh yeah, Phase 2 showing why it's an all-time great here. Oh! All right, let's not fall off our shot here. So now that we're that far left or that far into the pattern is where I think the differences are really starting to become even more glaring, even more apparent. I was standing in the same spot and looking at the same spot on the lanes with both of these balls, and they both struck. I mean, they both struck a bunch from that far left. But the biggest thing that I took away is just, again, how much cleaner through the fronts the Phase 2 was, how much more shape the Phase 2 wanted to create when compared to this Idol Helios. So again, my prediction from the beginning of the videos is still holding true, where I'm thinking I'm going to start a little bit straighter with this Helios, and then when I start to see a hook too early, and only when I start to see a hook too early, is when I think I'm going to get into the Phase 2. Now we're going to get into a versatility test. We're going to throw 3 shots with each of these balls from 3 different zones on the lane so that we can see which one of these 2 is more versatile. Let me know down below in the comments which one of these 2 you guys think is going to be the more versatile one based on what you've seen these last 30 shots and why. Let's get back on the lanes. Zone 1 here from about 15. Good shot. Good shot, Lewis. All right, well, there you have it, folks. There's my in-depth comparison between the Roto Grip Idol Helios and the Storm Phase 2. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this comparison. I super appreciate it. If you guys have watched all the way to this part of the video, it absolutely helps my algorithm, helps me continue to create videos like these, so thank you guys. What I saw in that versatility test is that the Idol Helios was a little strong from zone 1, but if we were just left of zone 1, I think this one would have really shined. Zone 2, I think for sure went to the Helios, and then zone 3, I think hands down went to the Phase 2 because of that shape that it wants to create, where it's more hockey stick-ish, where this is more of that banana, that rounder shape. But like I said, I've said this, I think this is the 3rd or 4th time in this video, I think these will make a really good 1-2 punch because of the shape similarities and the shape differences. And what I mean is, like, the hook potential is about the same with both of them, but the shapes that they create are different. So I think that'll make a really good 1-2 punch. So thank you guys for joining me. Click right here to watch one of my other videos. Click right here to subscribe. Use the links in the description to order these balls. It helps me out. Till next time.